All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. And today, we're going all the way to Myanmar.
Mm-hmm.
Really fascinating situation developing there. And, those of you out there listening, especially if you're a UPSC aspirant,
Mm-hmm.
this is something you really need to be paying attention to.
Absolutely. It could very well show up, I think, on the mains exam or even prelims. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And so we're talking about the Chin National Council, this new group that's emerged, from two different rebel groups that decided to merge.
Right. And what's really fascinating about that is that it happened in India.
Yeah.
So they met in Aizawl, Mizoram, and decided to come together, to form this new group, which is a merger of the Chinland Defense Force and the Chin National Army.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really interesting that they chose to do that in India. And it's not, totally clear why, but it seems to be, a place where they felt safe and comfortable to have those kinds of discussions and come to an agreement.
Right. And they were meeting with the chief minister of Mizoram, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Lalduhoma was there and, kind of suggests that India is at least aware of what's happening there, maybe even, playing a role in facilitating these kinds of, discussions.
Yeah, it definitely kind of gives it legitimacy, right? Having the chief minister there.
Exactly. And, I think it's really important for UPSC aspirants to understand the context here. Myanmar has been in turmoil since the coup in 2021.
Right.
And there are all these different groups vying for power. And India is in a very delicate position because it shares a long border with Myanmar. And it has interests in the region, both, economic and strategic.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about India's interests, in particular, this project, the Kaladan Multimodal Transport Project.
Right. So that's a really ambitious project that India has been working on for a while now. And it's basically a way to connect India's northeast to the Bay of Bengal through Myanmar. So it involves building a port at Sittwe, which is on the coast of Myanmar, and then a river transit system, and then a road that goes up to Mizoram.
Wow.
So it's a really, kind of complex project. But the idea is that it would allow goods to flow freely from Kolkata to Mizoram without having to go through the Chicken's Neck.
Right.
Which is that very narrow strip of land that connects India's northeast to the rest of the country.
Yeah, it's a really important project. And, they actually just inaugurated the Sittwe port.
Yeah, in May of 2023.
Wow.
So, despite all the turmoil that's been going on in Myanmar, India is still pushing ahead with this project.
Yeah, it seems like a key piece of the puzzle here.
Absolutely. And, one theory is that India is hoping to use this project to counterbalance China's influence in Myanmar.
Okay, how so?
Well, China has been very active in Myanmar, both economically and politically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been providing a lot of support to the junta. So India is looking for ways to, maintain its own influence in the region. And this project is one way to do that.
Right. Yeah, it gives them another avenue right into the region. And
exactly. And it also gives them a way to, engage with the Chin community, which is a significant ethnic group in Myanmar that lives along the border with India.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about the Chin community then. You mentioned earlier that they're kind of divided.
Right. So there are actually a lot of divisions within the Chin community, and it's really important to understand these divisions if you want to understand the dynamics of the conflict in Myanmar.
Okay.
So broadly speaking, you can divide the Chin community into two groups. There are those who are willing to negotiate with the junta and those who are committed to armed resistance.
Okay.
And these two groups are often divided along geographic lines. So the groups that are willing to negotiate tend to be located in the Tedim Range, which is in the southern part of Chin State. And they have been engaged in peace talks with the junta for several years now. But the groups that are committed to armed resistance are mostly located in the Hakka and Phalam Hill Ranges, which are in the northern part of Chin State. And they have been fighting the junta since the coup, and they're really the backbone of the Chin resistance.
Wow.
And they're also the ones who are most wary of the CNC.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They see it as a potential threat to their autonomy, and they're worried that the CNC might be willing to make concessions to the junta that they're not willing to make.
So the CNC isn't, all powerful here. There are other groups within the Chin community that aren't on board with them.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the challenges that India faces in trying to engage with the Chin community. They have to be very careful not to alienate one group or the other.
Right. It's a very complex situation. And I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now, and it still feels like we're just scratching the surface.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's so important for UPSC aspirants to really dig into this issue and try to understand all the different facets of it.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to keep in mind the bigger picture here.
Right.
This isn't just about Myanmar. This is about India's role in the region, and it's about the growing rivalry between India and China.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a really fascinating case study in international relations, and I think it's something that everyone should be paying attention to.
And it's a dynamic situation. So, as you're studying for the UPSC, just remember that things could change very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess the big question is, what's next? What can we expect to see happen in Myanmar in the coming months and years, and how will that impact India and the region as a whole?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And I think it's something that we're all going to have to wait and see. But I think it's safe to say that the situation in Myanmar is going to continue to be very complex and very fluid.
Yeah, and I think it's really going to test India's diplomatic skills.
Absolutely.
They're going to have to be very careful about how they navigate this situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But, hopefully they'll be able to find a way to promote peace and stability in the region.
Let's hope so.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for this deep dive.
Yeah.
I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe, but leave a comment below.
And as always, all the information we talked about today came from NDTV, so go check them out if you want to learn more.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.